Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be here trying to communicate with my fellow Gambians, and I would like this broadcast to be shared far and wide because it's always good to communicate, and I haven't been on Facebook Live for quite a while trying to just have a discourse. But I think the time is now that we have a discourse once again, because it's the political season, and this is a season that is a make it or break it for the Gambia. What I mean by a make it or break it for the Gambia, the decisions we are going to take come December 4th will determine the trajectory of our country post December 4th. And this requires all and sundry to make sure that voting is a right that we have, but in exercising this right, we need to make sure we have adequate information to come out with an informed decision that will propel our interests and that of the nation that we all share and love. Having said the above, I came out today earlier with my proposition, and my proposition is my prerogative, number one. Just like I respect everyone else's prerogative to choose who they want as and when they want to, I also have that right. But it's not about my right. That's the reason why I'm here today. I made a position and a statement, and the basis of my statement is as follows. We can vote for whoever we want, but we need to ask ourselves, what's the bottom line for us voting? Is it to make our country better or to make our individual selves better? If it's to make the country better, we have few questions we need to ask ourselves. Is our country on the right path and footing today? If the answer is yes, then no other candidate need to waste their time to even get onto the ballot, because we would have had consensus. If the answer is no, our country is not on the right path and the right footing, it means we need to shop for other candidates. Therefore, that's the reason why we have a plethora of candidates trying to vie for the office of the president, hoping they can make a difference in the lives and livelihoods of Gambians. Well, Nyang Jai is a pragmatist, Nyang Jai is a realist, and Nyang Jai will take decisions based on the environment he lives and what he thinks will be the outcome in the environment he lives in. As far as I'm concerned, I've been following the political space for quite a while, and I will make it categorically clear that I have never been part of any political group. I have never partaken in any political action by any political group, even though it's a choice. And it will be sinful to hide your wishes and aspiration as a person. Whatever you're doing in the dark, it means you're not proud of it. And Nyang Jai doesn't operate in the dark for anything he wants to do. Nyang Jai comes outright and decide what he thinks is good, what he thinks is in the best interest of society, based on his understanding. What I said today, and people need to understand, you can be very political and not be partisan. And a lot of people didn't read what I wrote, unfortunately, and that's the problem of our nation. Gambians are not good readers, but Gambians tend to have loud mouths to digest what people read. And I'm sure people who are making noise about this must have read a paragraph or even a line and come to a conclusion about what Nyang Jai was talking about. In a nutshell, I'll be very clear, forthright, and straightforward with what I meant and what I hope. First, I spoke about middle-class Gambia. Middle-class Gambia, us, the educated Gambians, entrepreneurs that are doing good and can propel this country to prosperity. I categorically stated in my post that middle-class Gambia have really relinquished their rights to really come out and play a role in nation building. What do I mean by that? Very clear and in simple terms, that middle-class Gambia tend to sit on the line and on the fence. Why? Because they want to preserve themselves. Why? They don't want to anger the establishment, and they don't want to lose any economic gain or make quote-unquote public enemies that will cause them economic harm or otherwise. I believe the time has come for us as a nation, if we're serious about nation building, we come outright, state our positions, take positions on things that are important to nation building, have a stake in the outcome of the decisions that we aspire, we yearn for, and we dream. Therefore, the business class of this country must stop the hypocrisy and the backdoor dealings and openly come outright and take a position that I want to promote Party X or I want to promote Party Y. But we know that most of these business elites know way too well that the best interest of the country economically doesn't lie with the current establishment. Yet still, they want to pamper the current establishment and want to be strange bedfellows with others that they think can make a difference in changing the fortunes of this country. That in itself is hypocritical. That in itself shows why this country cannot move and move ahead, because we always want to make sure that we don't anger anybody and want to be in the good books of everyone. That is a very tough proposition to foster, and that's a tough position to hold medium to long term. It's not sustainable, and it's always good for people to have a position and be true to themselves. Shakespeare once said, "To thine own self be true." I think people have been fooling each other for far too long, and that cannot build a nation. A nation is built on consensus, a nation is built on sincerity, and a nation is built on conviction. And these things are lacking in today's Gambia. We have major entrepreneurs in this country who are enjoying public contracts, be it roads, be it cars, be it whatever. And because of this, they don't want to toe the line and anger the establishment. Well, I think there is a deficit in conviction, and that's why they don't want to toe the line and anger the establishment. People with conviction stick to their conviction and make a position out of the courage of their conviction. This, in my mind, is something that lacks in this country. Me coming out today, I want to invoke the consciousness of middle-class Gambia to get up, make a choice of their own. Whoever it is, that's their prerogative. But they should be bold enough to stick with that choice and advocate for that choice if the Gambia they want is in the hands of that choice. But oh no, my fellow Gambians, especially those in the middle class, will not do so because they don't want to lose their perks, privileges, and proximity to power. This is why we have the types of government we have. The people who are perceived to be influencers, either financially or otherwise, don't want to upset the status quo. And that has to change. If not, we will always sit in our homes, the comforts of our views, complaining about everything that's wrong in this country. And everything that's wrong in this country starts with the insincerity of the Gambian. The insincerity of us not willing to take a position. Me coming out today once again is to clear the air to Gambians that I believe you don't have to be a partisan active member of a political party, but look at the greater good's interests and say one thing first and foremost. Do we want the current president to continue? If our answer is no, then the next step is, who amongst everyone that's out there who can dislodge and upset the status quo? If you feel that that particular candidate, whoever it is for you, I don't know who it is for you, you think and feel that since our current president is not fit for purpose and cannot deliver what the average Gambian wants, we must now find who else can do the job. If it's GDC Alliance, so be it for you. If it's Ahmad Maifati, so be it for you. If it's UDP, so be it for you. But all I am saying, the time has come for us Gambians to really sit down and not be emotional about this and don't have affinity about what we want. We want to make sure that our country moves, and an overwhelming majority of Gambians are in the agreement that our current president cannot move this country. If we know that our current president cannot move this country, we must now begin to find alternatives. But in finding alternatives, we must also make sure that our decisions are not emotional, are not tribal, or are not driven by personal self-interest, but collective good of society. What's good for Nyanjai may not be good for you. What's rational for Nyanjai may not be rational for you. But I am imploring on most, if not all of us, to come with rational decisions as it relates to our political choice going forward if the bottom line is for a better Gambia. I will not hesitate to say that I have done my political calculus, and my political calculus is just very simple. Soma Janjai, I'm glad that you've asked this question, because that's where I'm coming right now, so you must have read my mind. My political calculus have looked at the ground. I am of the view, and I am convinced, that a minimum of 58 to 51% of the total votes that will be cast on the 4th of December will be for Adama Barrow and the UDP combined. Therefore, if I am not in support of Adama Barrow, I should find a way to make sure I elect someone who will replace Adama Barrow. And unfortunately, Adama Barrow has to go, and right now, the only road to get Adama Barrow out of the equation is through UDP. This is my personal political calculus, and I wish to be alive come December 5th to make sure that prophecy will be fulfilled as it relates to the two contestants that will be on the top of the list, Adama Barrow and whoever UDP are going to put on the ballot. Therefore, I know I am not for Adama Barrow, and I cannot be for Adama Barrow because I want a better Gambia, and he doesn't have what it takes to give me a better Gambia. My vote will not be an emotional vote on someone that I believe in ideals. My vote will be a pragmatic vote to make a change in my country. And the change that I want cannot be given to me by Adama Barrow. And the only viable alternative that I have seen that is concrete, not based on emotion, but is concrete, is through the UDP. I am not a card-bearing member of UDP. I am not a party member of UDP. And yes, I have been sympathetic to the cause of UDP since 1997. And as a student in the US, I have donated to the UDP to make sure the dictatorship was dislodged in the Gambia. And I am proud to say that, and I will never hide my allegiance if there was one prior. I have never had any allegiance to the UDP, and up to today, no formal allegiance. But I want a better Gambia, and for me, all roads that will dislodge Adama Barrow out of that office will come through the UDP, like them or hate them. But me, my decisions are based on logical construct, not emotional nuances. I make decisions out of logic. And this logic will make me cast my vote to someone that will make sure that Adama Barrow is no longer. Do I have relations with Ousainou Darboe? Yes, and I am proud to say so. Are there anything with my relationship that has skewed my decision? The answer is no. And I have been on record in the past, if people are myopic to forget, to just go on my Facebook footprint and see how I have made my points against the UDP, to the point that I have been harassed by people that I don't know. Someone like Fode Jawla, for many years he has been after me. I had lawyer Ousainou Darboe once on my platform at Kerfatu, and I was very tough with him with regards to the vehicles that were donated to the parliamentarians. So if I had allegiance and loyalty, I guess that would not have been the case. People who don't know Nyang Jai really don't know who I am. Nyang Jai is highly opinionated, and irrespective of who toes the line, he will have his say. The last one was less than 3 weeks ago or a month ago, when I wrote about Tata, whatever Jobate his name is, the former Attorney General, and I denounced the position of UDP as it relates to him being given the position to be at a platform when he was not only a known enabler, but someone who has caused grievous bodily harm and fatal harm to Gambians. Therefore, my commitment and my conviction is first and foremost to my conscience, and second to my duty to country. And my duty to country is telling me right now that I, Nyang Jai, have to do whatever it takes legally and democratically to make sure that Adama Barrow doesn't occupy that coveted office, because he doesn't deserve the coveted office, not by virtue of his birth, not by virtue of his social standing, but by virtue of his deeds and acts after he has assumed that office. I am not prejudiced about who he is, but I am very circumspect about what he has done with that office. That office is not something to be monetized. The influence of that office is not something that should be monetized. The influence of that office must be used to extend social greater good to the greater good of our society. And I am of the view, and this is something I hold firm and dear, that Adama Barrow is not in a position to take Gambia out of the misery we find ourselves over the past 27 years. It's up to you guys to see who you want to give it to. But I know that Nyang Jai is an influencer, and I am going to use that coveted position that has been bestowed onto me by people who choose to follow me, that this is what Nyang Jai is going to do. And I am not forcing anyone to do what I do, but I will give you minimum basics to justify my actions. If you find convergence with what I say, welcome to my position. If you don't find convergence in what I say, best of luck to you. But I am going to tell Gambians that this is not the time to be disparaging people. This is not the time for us to be having petty squabbles. This is not the time for us to be bickering. If we do so, we will live to regret it. And the simple reason why we will live to regret it, we will have someone who is not fit for purpose to be making decisions on our behalf for quite a long time. In 5 years, the amount of money borrowed under the Barrow administration is over 40 to 50% of what Jammeh and Jawara combined has borrowed as it relates to our local domestic debt. That in itself, if it's not something for you to have as a takeaway, I don't know what else is good enough for it to be a takeaway for you. But my position, I will reiterate once again, unequivocally, without hesitation, and a high degree of certainty, that Nyang Jai will do whatever it takes as a human being to make sure that Adama Barrow will not be re-elected in office. And I am doing that not because of hate or spite for him. I'm doing it because of my dignity as a Gambian. I'm doing it because I owe it to the next generation of Gambians to make sure that we have a leader who can give the country the bare minimum we need. We have a leader come December 4th who can hit the reset button and give Gambians a sincere and genuine transition. You will all agree with me that peace is just not the absence of war. And Gambia is a country today that is not at peace with itself, because you have seen how splintered we are as a society. You have seen how divided we are as a society. You have seen how angry we are as a society. Do we have a leader who's trying to galvanize us and bring us together? The answer is no, because he is scraping our wounds that are yet to heal. And we will start with his visit to Kanilai less than a month ago. That is disrespect, that is disregard, and it shows utter indifference to our suffering and plight as a people, particularly to the victims of the brutal brute and butcher of Kanilai, Yaya Jammeh, that he now wants to be a strange bedfellow with. Therefore, any Gambian of conscience, any Gambian who sees himself or herself as his brother or sister's keeper, will not allow such a person to be given an opportunity to lead this nation. Any Gambian with conscience, any Gambian with dignity, will not allow Adama Barrow to have a second chance, because he has spit or spat on the face of the victims of this country. And we all know, and we must accept, that every square meter of this land we call the Gambia is a crime scene. And every Gambian is a victim of Yaya Jammeh, directly or indirectly, by extension of affiliation, by extension of blood ties, lineage, or etc. Therefore, him publicly embracing Yaya Jammeh tantamounts to a red card. Him publicly embracing Yaya Jammeh has given us the finger, while my dignity as a Gambian will not be bruised by someone who gives me a finger. I refuse. I, Nyangjai, refuse, because I was born a dignified Gambian. I wasn't born in servitude. So if I give someone the opportunity and the privilege to lead me, I expect that individual to show me respect, to have consideration for my plight and feelings. Therefore, Adama Barrow in my books is not fit for purpose. Gambians find it very hard to understand simple things that people write. And they reduce very important things to little mundane nuances that doesn't help anybody. I am not going to waste my time now against election on any Gambian who wants to talk about nonsense other than making sure we get Adama Barrow out of office. But equally, I'm calling on my fellow Gambians, especially the lettered Gambian, educated Gambians, especially Gambians with means, that this is the first time you live in an open, free country, for you to stand up and stand tall and be counted. Make your opinion known, because you are influencers. You can change the lot of the poor Gambian, because when people look up to you, you have an obligation to society. But our selfish nature is making us cry in silence and complain in silence, when we know that nothing is moving the way it should in this country. All because we are receiving public contracts. All because we don't want to anger the establishment. All because we want to be seen as good people in the eyes of people who don't even think you're worthy enough. And that's why they're becoming strange bedfellows with butchers that brutalize you. When will Gambians wake up and understand that pride and dignity is something you cannot negotiate? Pride and dignity is not something you should allow others to take away from you. That pride and dignity should allow you to lose whatever it takes. Whenever you lose your pride and dignity, your humanity has been reduced to nothing. And Gambians, conscientious Gambians, must not allow their pride and dignity to be robbed. Conscientious Gambians must not allow their pride and dignity to be taken by people who are indifferent to your welfare, people who are indifferent to your well-being, people who are indifferent to your prosperity. What kind of people are we? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. The reason why Yaya Jammeh stayed here for 20 odd years is because of our hypocrisy, because of our indifference, because of our maslaha, because we don't want to toe the line, because we want to sit on the fence. We want to be seen as the good guys. Nice guys and good guys finish last. Leave your conscience and make sure your pride stand tall. That's the only way you can salvage your dignity. That's the only way you can salvage your country. That's the only way you can make something out of life. The race of life is not about the millions we put in the bank, but is about the dignified livelihood we live. It's about impacting and changing others' lives. The notion of Segal Mawarla is the notion that President Barrow is doing to us today. I wish we can have his public declaration, asset public declaration of 2016, and we compare it to his asset public declaration that he is going to put forth this Thursday at the IEC. Then you will understand what the notion of Segal Mawarla is. And then Gambians will understand that we have been taken for a ride. Do we deserve to be taken for a ride? No. But the dumbest amongst us is to know that we've been hoodwinked. The dumbest amongst us is to see that someone is not fit for purpose, and yet we want to maintain the status quo. But most of the time it's driven by self-interest, and this self-interest generally is either economic interest or socio-political proximity to powers that be. It's a zero-sum game. If your economic interest has been guaranteed by the establishment that's cheating and looting the masses, you are not safe. If your economic interest is taken from the blood, sweat and tear of the farmer in Jahali, the cattle herder in Nyamina, the fuller weaver in Basse, the Mandinka lady at the Sokuta Nako farm growing lettuce, you have no conscience. You have no purpose, and your money means nothing. And this I'm addressing to public servants who are fleecing our public wealth. This I'm addressing to private entrepreneurs who are taking bloated contracts, knowing that the cheese and the fat that's put on that public contract belongs to the poor Gambian. You are sick. You are decadent. You are an enemy of the state. And that's why Gambians must wake up and rally to say that what we decided, what we championed, what we expected from this current president in 2016 is not what he is executing today. And if we overwhelmingly believe that what he is executing today is not what we agreed upon, then it means he should not even be in the equation. He should not be someone we should even count. We should be counting others. But unfortunately, most of us are still counting him out of ignorance, out of selfishness, and out of preservation of personal interest. And that's why the influencers in this country, and that's why people with economic means need to come out and behave like Alhaji Conte of Dabanani. Alhaji Conte of Dabanani is a citizen I respect because he is trying to effect change by putting his money where his mouth is. I wish Gambia happens to have 20 more Alhaji Contes who are willing not to sit on the fence but stand tall and be counted in making a difference in their country. Talk is cheap. And we've been hearing the talk for far too long. Gambians are tired of hearing people talking. We want to see a difference, and the difference should come with the people who are endowed economically, people who are endowed academically, and people who have social standing to come out and make sure that they steer the population where they need to go to see prosperity and better and brighter days for us, so that we can inherit or we can pass on Gambia to the next generation of Gambians better than it was given to us. But as it is now, we are about to pass Gambia to the next generation worse than it was given to us by our forefathers. What a shame. And it's all out of our greed, personal selfishness, and indifference to the plight of the greater good. I, Nyang Jai, will never be part of that problem. I, Nyang Jai, will never be part of what's going to put Gambia down. I, Nyang Jai, will endeavor till my last breath to make sure that whatever is going to bring prosperity to this country, if I'm not in the forefront, I will make sure I do what it takes to take it there. God bless you all. God bless the Gambia. And may we have the courage of conviction to do right by country. May we allow our conscience to dictate our actions. May we inspire people that are endowed financially to stop being enablers of a system that is putting the collective good down. May we inspire people who have looted from the system to at least have a heart of change and begin to atone and repent for their misdeeds. Gambia should be better than it is, but unfortunately, Gambia is what it is because of the selfish nature of the educated class and the entrepreneurial class of this society who see nothing but self. God bless you all. Thanks for giving me the opportunity, and thanks for listening me out. I love you all. I love my country, and I know you guys love your country. Let us stand tall and make Gambia proud. If not, we will all live to regret. God bless Gambia. And for the Gambia, our homeland, let us all come together as a diverse group of people to make sure this country stands tall, to make sure this country gets counted amongst the Thank you.